Facebook guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, here we are with the Berry College football program here on our third day, I believe, of the fall media days here to kick off the 2018 season. A reminder, as we are on Facebook Live, to tune in and share this video. Also, post your comments in the section below, and I'll pass them along to these guys here. But, guys, first off, appreciate you taking some time out to meet with me. And, Coach, how's camp been so far?
Well, first things first, I thought our guys came in great shape, probably in the 6 years that this program has been up and running, probably the best shape that we've been in terms of how we ran the conditioning test and how many people passed it. I know in terms of some of the strength testing, we're the strongest we've ever been. So those are two great indicators, not only with the guys that we have in our program, but also that the guys been doing the work over the summer too. So we're really encouraged by that. So that got us off to a great start. And right now we're staring down practice number 8 this afternoon in the heat of the day. So it's that preseason grind right now, but that's what produces hopefully some really good results come the fall.
Kevin, you've been through that preseason grind 3 times now on your fourth time here. What are you really looking for here in your senior year, and what are your expectations that you're putting on yourself this season?
Yeah, so this season I've just been really, 3 years, been going on 3 years. Just really the biggest challenge is just leading these guys. For the first time in a while, I have a lot of guys looking up to me. This year, it's my senior year, just being a great spiritual leader to them as well. Off the field can be like a great, on the field is as far as being on the field. They look up to me, but off the field they would just ask questions, just being able to answer those questions for them. So
you're getting to play with your brother this year, right? Devin's
yes,
on campus, so
yes,
excited about that. How's he doing so far?
He's doing pretty good so
Yeah.
far. He's picked up defense pretty well. He's a really big goofball, so he's been getting well with the teammates so far. So pretty excited about what he will do this season. Hopefully he'll be able to get in the game this year. Just seeing him playing with us on the field, that would be pretty awesome. Just play with him at the same time.
Coach, we actually got a question last night from Tony McGee, and he touched on something that I wanted to ask you as well. With every year you go through a graduating class, you lose a lot of guys, a lot of key starters, and heading into this year in particular, a lot of those key starters graduated. So what are you expecting out of the returners who are going to have to step into those roles, and then any freshmen that are going to be filling in starting positions as well?
Yeah, we met this head on last spring. I mean, this is going to be the biggest transition other than the first year of our program. This is going to be the biggest transition year that we've ever had. When you look at graduating 59 guys over the last 2 seasons, there's certainly a lot of new faces, and those guys. We talked a lot about that first class that graduated 2 years ago and how important they were. But, make no mistake about it, the guys that we graduated last year, a lot of those guys were thrown into the fire as well. So this is really a big transition year for us. We talked a lot about it in the spring. Certainly when we get the new guys in the fall, we haven't really talked about it as much because to them it really doesn't, they weren't here, in the past. But, it's an opportunity for guys to step up. But, at the same time, I thought our sophomore class that were freshmen last year was a phenomenally talented class coming in. A lot of those guys played a lot as freshmen. I think you're going to see some other freshmen. It's too early to tell exactly who, but I think you're going to see a lot of young guys playing this year because they're good and they're talented and they deserve to get out in the field. But the tricky thing about that is, it's such a huge adjustment. Going from high school to college, being away from home for the first time. Now, we're starting freshman orientation. Classes start Monday, so there's a lot of external factors that are kind of vying for your time. And it takes some maturity to try to kind of separate those. And, one of our core tenets of our program is what's important now. And, when you're in class or when you're in Viking Venture, that's the most important thing. When you're in football, that's the most important thing at the time. But Kevin kind of mentioned it. We still have a very strong nucleus of leadership. Kevin being one of them. since this was sent by Tony McGee, I can tell you his son is definitely one of them as well. So that's vitally important to have that. And we talked about this when we reported and talked about it at the end of the spring. We want to find out. We've been able to build some pretty good teams the last couple of years. We want to see if we've built a sustainable program, and I think this year will be a telling sign whether we've built a sustainable program, and that's certainly important to us.
Kevin, from your perspective, you come in as a freshman in 2015. You guys go 7-3, and then obviously 16 and 17, you win back-to-back conference titles. What have you seen from your freshman year until now as to how this program has changed from whether you're just a good team for a couple of good seasons or if you're building into that sustainable program like Coach just mentioned?
Yeah, so I know that this is a new season. At the end of the day, we treat every season as a new season. We wouldn't feedback off of just from the previous season because this season can end up going down, the wrong road. We don't know what the season will look like, so we take it one day at a time. Like Coach said, what's important now is just, right now it's just football camp. Just taking that step. We have a scrimmage this Saturday against Huntington. That'll be a challenge for us and the new guys, just filling those roles. Like Coach said, we just graduated 59 these past 2 seasons, and that they took they had leadership, and that we would be able to build off of that as well. So that's about it.
What you go into this season ranked for the first time. You're opening a season ranked. That success that you've had over the past 2 years is no secret, but how much does that kind of sit in the back of your mind as to, okay, here is the expectation for this program now, and I'll kind of let you both address that.
All right, yeah, so as far as like the rankings, like it's, at the end of the day, it's a new season. We would look not past the rankings, but at the end of the day, it's when we're facing another team that every team is after us now. We're the head honcho of our conference. We want to be able to treat every game like it's our last. So that's so far as how I want to see.
Yeah, and Kevin mentioned it. I mean, we're not defending anything this year. We didn't defend anything last year, because that means we still have it. I mean, the 2017 season was over just like the 2016 season was over. I mean, it's a new leadership, new culture around the team, new team chemistry. So, we're not going to shy away from the rankings. I honestly have not brought it up. I don't know if those guys have talked about it in the locker rooms or not. Here's what the rankings are good for. It puts your program on the map. I said it when we were in the playoffs last year. I think it, also importantly puts our conference on the map, which I believe is important. As Division III football grows in the South, I think that's important. It helps you if you continue to win to move up in the rankings, and maybe if you can continue to win to get a better spot in the playoffs. But if you lose, then it doesn't matter. So I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not going to give you that cliche. Or we don't pay attention to it. But at the same time, if we don't take care of business, then those rankings don't matter. But I mean, it is nice to see that there's a lot of guys that have worked really hard throughout the years, players, coaches, support staff, and that's what that ranking is about, is based upon past history. So it kind of rewards the guys that have been here before, that have laid that foundation. But it really doesn't matter if you don't go out in the field and perform.
Kevin touched on this a little bit, but winning the league the past 2 years, obviously a target on your back when you come to conference play. So you go to Trinity this year. Austin College is going to come to our place, the 2 new teams in the league last season. So just any thoughts on the SAA this year in general?
Well, you better come to play each and every week. Yeah. I think there's a lot of parity, and I know some of the scores out there maybe didn't indicate it last year. But, I mean, we were in a dogfight in the last game of the season against Trinity with the finish 10-0, and they lost 2 really close games to Hendricks and Center. I expect Trinity to be, a pretty good team again this year. I mean, center's always been towards the top. Hendricks has always been towards the top. But I mean, when you look at the rest of the conference, any given Saturday, you better not overlook anybody. And we got to make some long trips this year. We haven't talked about that yet, but starting out the conference playing back-to-back road games at Rhodes and at Center is not going to be easy. Traveling to Hendricks is not going to be easy. Getting in a plane traveling to San Antonio is not going to be easy. But it takes the right type of attitude to handle that stuff, and that's what we're trying to develop right now. But we love our conference. There's great coaches in our conference. Every team plays hard. I think, the bottom of the league, in terms of record, is getting better and better. So, I don't think our conference gets enough respect nationally as it really deserves. And I can tell you from talking to the two new Texas teams, talking to their head coaches, they would tell you the same thing after being in our league for a year. And I know the WashU and Chicago coaches have said that time and time again. So I think our league deserves a lot of credit.
I know we don't want to, not defending anything kind of heading into this season, but looking back at last year, 10-0 regular season, you get your first playoff win against Huntington, and then you go and play one of the better teams in the entire country that has been one of the best teams in the entire country in St. Thomas for a while. Play them really tough in their place. So Kevin, I'll throw this one over to you. When you talk about getting in the national spotlight, is that ever kind of in the back of your mind heading into the conference games or anything like that, okay, we may have a really good chance here to be one of the best teams in the country?
Yeah, so just feeding off of just last season in general, it was a great experience going into just playing another top team in the country, St. Thomas. Mm-hmm. I feel like we have a lot of players this season that we'll be able to go into our conference games this year with a lot of confidence, knowing that we could play at the next level. If we do, taking it one game at a time, but if we do make the playoffs again, that we would have a lot more confidence, knowing that we have a lot of experience. We know what that would look like, and especially playing one of the top teams in the nations as well, that we know what type of game that they have.
Whenever you leave Berry, when you graduate, what do you want to leave your mark on the program? When people look back at Kevin Grier's career at Berry, what do you want them to think?
That's one of my biggest things that I've thought about this past summer. Actually, I just want to leave as being a spiritual leader with me and a few other guys, Nick and Nate, a few other guys on the team. Just being able to just be with them through the hard times, through the great times. Just being there when they ask questions about their faith. Because at the end of the day, it's not about just football. I think about salvation in general, as far as my teammates as well, too. So yeah.
How do you feel that you've changed as a person from your freshman year till now?
As far as my freshman year till now, I came in just pretty scared coming in as a freshman, not knowing completely not anybody from changes from high school to college. Just having that, I have brothers. One of our core values is unity as a brotherhood, knowing that I can have these guys come to my wedding one day, which is pretty cool. Knowing that I have coaches who are really like father figures. I could call them and talk to them about anything after graduation as well. So,
Coach, you guys are going to have a Mountain Day this year, and the first time in what feels like forever. Mm-hmm. How excited are you guys to have a game on Mountain Day this year?
Well, we're really excited. I mean, we're the support that we've gotten in the first 5 years of our program have been tremendous. I mean, I know I talked to a couple different groups, and I know Kevin was there, I believe, at the one alumni group that we spoke to. I mean, we led the NCAA Division III first-round playoff games in attendance.
The Huntington game.
Yeah, the Huntington game. So I think that's a testament to the Berry community, the Rome community, and they've always supported us. From 27-5 over the last 3 seasons and 15-1 at home, in the stadium in Valhalla and Williams Field, or even the 2 years that we weren't, we weren't here. We're playing at Barron Stadium. We're 2-17. I mean, I think back to, I mentioned this story time and time again. I'll never forget 2013 was our last home game, first season. We're 0 for the season, 0-8. Had a JV win, which we counted at the time just to feel good about ourselves, but really didn't count. And there was over 3,700 people at the game at Barron Stadium. And I joked about this, and I'm kind of half joking and half kidding. I didn't even want to show up for that game. And to see all those people in the stands, and it's just amazing the support we've gotten. But I really believe a big part of that support is not because we've had success out in the field. I think it's, guys like Kevin, that, it's way more than just about football, and that have really gone out to the Rome community, certainly have gone out in the Barry community. And I think people want to support guys, like Kevin, that they go to school with all the time, that, we're just not sheltered and, here's the football guys over here and they're by themselves. And we never wanted to be like that. And I don't believe that we are. And, as a coach, you can say that all you want, but it takes guys like Kevin and some of the guys that we have currently on our roster, some of the guys that have graduated, that have really perpetuated that. So, we're excited about Mountain Day. Heck, we're excited about any home game that we can get. But it'll certainly be special in this year for us in particular. And I know the invitations will be going out in the mail here very shortly, but we're going to have our first football alumni weekend. We're going to invite all of our football alums back, and we hope to do this once a year. We'll have a tailgate beforehand, give them sideline passes pregame, tickets to the game. We'll have a reception after the game. We book some hotel rooms. So we want to start now bringing back those guys that have meant a ton to our program. And I know for guys like Kevin, it'll be good for them to be able to see some of those old guys. And, I shouldn't say old guys. They're only like 23 or 24 right now. But eventually, I'm hoping, 10, 20 years ago, just grow bigger and bigger. And so that'll be exciting.
Kevin, like Coach said, any game that we have at Valhalla Stadium, Williams Field, you can look in the stands and see anywhere between 3,000 and 4,000 people just about any given Saturday. How awesome is that for you as a player to know that you have that kind of support from the Rome community and from the Barry community too? Yeah,
it's pretty awesome to just have that support. I would really love to thank all the alumni and family and friends who do come out and support us. It's pretty awesome. I remember coming in as a freshman and seeing it when the stadium was just built my freshman year. I remember the first game of the season, the second game of the season when we played LaGrange, how much people really showed up. I think it was over about 2,000 people who
4,400 people.
4,400.
Yeah, because it was. I think it was the first game of Valhalla Stadium. I believe it was, and I think we had over 4,400 people there for that game.
4,400 people. And I remember when we played Huntington this past season, we hit a record. We were number one, I think, in the NCAA.
Yeah,
for first round playoffs.
Yeah.
So that shows you that we really have a lot of people in the Rome community who really do care about us. We would just want to be able to. Me and a few other guys and a bunch of other players on the team want to give back just to those people who really come support us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, their schedule is online. Go to BarryVikings.com. Go to the football schedule. The first game is September 1st. That'll be an out-of-conference game against Maryville. And, of course, Mountain Day, the first Saturday in October. Tickets are actually on sale right now. Just go to BarryGameDay.com, and you can get your tickets for the season. Guys, really appreciate you taking the time for me. Good luck this year. I'm sure we'll be talking to you a lot more as we move forward. But once again, BarryGameDay.com for tickets and BarryVikings.com for the Barry football schedule. So, guys, thanks again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.